Okay, hi folks. So today I wanted to talk a bit about the relationship between neuroscience and reflective practice. I think this is incredibly important. So what we know to be true from neuroscience about how we move through the world is that we're often formulating predictions. We are making predictions about what's next based on what has happened in the past. This is just the way that all of our brains work. It's the way our emotion works, our gut responses, our thinking. It's just how we move through the world. So all of this prediction is happening on a very subconscious level. And it translates specifically to working in nonprofit or intense conditions, particularly working with vulnerable populations, something I think this translates to really well. Oftentimes when we know we're stepping into this intense work or into a really tricky or stressful day because of the folks that we work with, our brains gear up for that. We get ready to go. In some cases, we're getting engaged in a sympathetic nervous system response where we're ready to fight or flight. And there may actually be legitimate times for that type of response, but oftentimes, because of the intensity of work over time, we build up this default response of being engaged in our sympathetic nervous system and being ready to move, to go. And that is a prediction. It's a prediction that our brain is making based on past experience. In fact, a prediction that may be leaving out important information, like the times when we haven't needed to fight or flight, the times when we haven't needed to be in a sympathetic nervous system response, the times that we're at work that we're feeling really safe, content, fulfilled. We're feeling a lot of that the satisfaction, very vicarious resilience. So sometimes we're leaving that information out because our predictions are based on the stressful situations that we encounter. So how does this translate to, like, this is just what's going on a neurological level, on a nervous system level. This is what's happening in our brain and bodies. Oftentimes when we're doing this work. We're doing work with vulnerable populations. So to me, I'm translating this to the idea of reflective practice, because our values, our commitments, what's important to us, what's important to the team that we're a part of, what's important to the organization, what's important to the client, all of these things can also add into our predictions. We can add them in. And one of the key ways to do that is through reflective practice. I talk a lot about reflective practice in the work that I do. And this could be very simple questions. In fact, if you go to the Invoke Coaching Instagram, there is a series of reflective practice questions that you could use to aid you if you don't have a current reflective practice. What's important about reflective practice is you're essentially asking yourself really open questions to move yourself to a more open parasympathetic nervous system state. And oftentimes these questions can cue you into your own values, what's really important to you, what you're committed to. And it could actually cue you into things that are maybe more positive when you're focusing on negative things, like what did I do really well today versus this was a really shitty day because of this, this, and this happened with this client. So we get into all of these stories, and reflective practice can actually open up in us what was positive about the day. It's an opportunity for internal appreciative inquiry, or with a coworker, we do reflective practice as a way to draw out what went well, what was good, what's really fulfilling about this work, what values are coming alive for you in this work, even in the most difficult moments. These are the type of reflective practice questions that you can ask each other as coworkers, or that you can ask yourself as a part of a regular reflective practice. And as we ask ourselves these questions, we're bringing to the surface some really important things. As I said, values, commitments, for example, or things we're really skilled at, that we rock it at. And that's we rock it at, not rocket. So things that we're rocking it at. Yeah, and that type of reflective practice can bring that to the forefront of our mind, and then we can add that to our predictions. So when we go into work the next day, for example, we're bringing in this reflection about, oh yeah, that, it's really important for me to be calm. I don't know what's important for you. I'm just making up. Let's say it's really important for me to be calm even in intense situations. So I'm bringing that now. I'm bringing more of that into my predictions. That, who knows what other people are going to do because I can't control it, but I can be really calm and centered. That's important to me, and I can bring that into my prediction for tomorrow. So we begin to wire these new neural pathways that help reinforce new practices that can actually, again, bring us to even more reflection that can help us to deepen our practice. So this is the way I see some of the neuroscience that I'm learning overlapping with a key practice that I think we should all be engaged in, regardless of your profession or who you work with. Reflective practice is something I do as a coach, as a facilitator, as a consultant, do it all the time. And I think it's critical when we're working with vulnerable populations that we're engaging in that process of self and other reflective practice. So that's the overlap I see, and I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on what's most helpful about this for you. Thanks so much.